Hi everyone, my name's Evangeline and I'm from the Maps team. Today we're going to be talking about how you can dress the background of a shot for video. I'm going to show you how you can go from this to this. Dressing or setting your background is one of the easiest things you can do to make sure your videos are looking professional and well presented. You don't need technical expertise or fancy equipment. All you need is an eye for detail and a couple of props you have around the house. Today we're going to be talking about pista cameras in particular, but please remember that this also applies to interview filming as well. The background of your shot instantly impacts the way your audience perceives you, and that's why there is no room here for plain white walls. It's boring, it tells me nothing about you, and it's a missed opportunity. You can guarantee if I see a video presented against a plain white wall, I'm clicking away as soon as I can. Video is a visual medium. Make sure you're using that to your advantage. Think about some of the content producers you might watch on YouTube, for example. Beauty bloggers might have a material background that's been creatively lit, or someone who's a tech reviewer or a movie reviewer, they're going to have something relevant in the background. You're looking for a room with lots of natural light, and that's very quiet. Ideally, you'll also have a visually interesting element in that room, be that a bookshelf or a plant stand. In an ideal world, all three of these things will come together for you, but if not, that's okay. Prioritize natural light and the quiet. You can introduce visually interesting elements later down the track. You'll also need a camera, obviously, and stabilize it, be that with a tripod or a pile of books. You don't need to have a fancy DSLR camera here, a phone camera, the same rules apply. Make sure it's stable. You may also need to introduce some light. Again, nothing fancy here. That can be a desk lamp, a torch, anything you have on hand really. And the next thing will be to introduce some props. Alrighty guys, we're starting with a completely blank slate. I have a nice boring white wall behind me, and I have a chair. I'm going to make sure that I'm nice and centered and framed, so that means I have elbow room on either side and a teensy little bit of headroom as well. Be careful with the kind of chair you choose. Don't choose a chair that has wheels. It's really easy for you to slip and slide everywhere, and then all of a sudden, all your hard work with the framing has gone to waste. I've also positioned my chair as far away as possible from the background, and I'm doing that so hopefully we get a little bit of nice blur back there and it just looks fairly natural. Alright, let's get started. What we're looking for in a background is some colour and interest and perhaps some context. I know my audience is going to be you guys, students, so I know I don't need to be super formal with my background. I've walked around my house and collected some elements with a bit of a colour story, and I'm using a table and suitcases to add some height. Some great go-tos to make your background more interesting are paintings or pictures, a plant or some books. The addition of these three things nicely arranged in the background make a world of difference to this shot. The key here is attention to detail and trial and error. You'll notice that I'm constantly sitting back in my chair, looking at my background and making any necessary and often very small tweaks and adjustments. I'm ensuring some elements are just peeking into frame in an effort to make it seem like they've always been there and I just happened to jump in front of a camera and voila! A lamp is a nice addition, as you can turn it on in your background and add an extra layer of lighting and interest. I've also added a camera and a lens in an attempt to add some context to who I am and what I'm talking about. Before dressing your background, think really carefully about the purpose of your video and who your audience might be. For example, are you pitching to a client? What would you like them to know about you? Are you participating in a remote job interview? How would you like to be perceived? Are you creating content for a particular audience? Say for example, are you a production team member making videos for students? What does your background look like? So, the next time you sit down in front of a camera, be that for an assignment, maybe it's a video conference with your boss or a client, maybe you're just FaceTiming your mum, remember these key things. Who is your audience and what do you want them to know about you? No plain white walls. A book, a picture, a plant, that is all it takes. Attention to detail is key. And finally, just have a go. Remember that Maps is always here if you have any questions.